Hey guys, it's Savannah and welcome back to my channel. We are back today for another podcast, and I do believe this is episode 10. Today is Monday, September 11th, 2023, and it's starting to feel like fall. I'm so happy about that, you guys. It means that I can break out the cardigans, the shawls, just sweaters. I'm so happy. I love seeing the seasons change from summer to fall. It always looks so incredible and beautiful, especially here just off of the Appalachian Mountains, because we have all of this beautiful mountainous scenery. And if y'all haven't been to the Appalachians in fall, you need to come and visit. Like, it's not something I can describe. Okay? I have still been busy. I have still been working pretty much every day. So this is why it's probably been about a month since the last time I've uploaded, but I'm still trying to stay active over on Instagram and TikTok, so you can go check those out if you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing. I have made it through chapter 7 of Fourth Wing, and I would just want to keep reading it, but I just don't have the time to do so. But it is definitely getting interesting, and I am looking forward to seeing what happens with Violet in the book, because I know it is her point of view, she is the protagonist, but it's just so interesting reading about a female protagonist who is not so physically capable like most books with a female protagonist have. It shows a different side, I think, which is really nice to read about. I believe that is all of my rambling over and done with. So let's get talking about crafting. Okay, first off is the finished objects, and I have finally finished the March Spike Stitch Granny Square. These things are big. They are something like 14 inches across. So they are big because I want a nice big blanket. They're going to be sewn together to be a blanket, and I want that blanket to be big. So it's hard to fit this in frame, but it did turn out great, like I knew it would. And I have the April yarn set out. I just have not wound it up yet. So I will be getting to that soon, but I think I'm saving it to wind up because I have a video that I'm going to be doing soon, which is trying some of the TikTok crochet hacks, and one of them involves yarn winding. So I'll be hopefully doing that this week. But we will see. We will definitely see. But I do have this finished, so that has been added to my pile, which I hopefully will not forget where I place the pile, because it is on my yarn, on my bookcase with the yarn, but it could get buried under stuff. So we'll see. Next, I can't tell, I'm wearing it. This is my completed vintage peach shawl. This was made with Expression Fiberworks Never Not Reading held double with Madeline Tosh lace weight in paper. and it turned out wonderful and nice and warm. And like I said, I'm very excited that the weather is finally changing, so I have excuses to wear this places. Like, it doesn't really capture here because the lighting is awful, but the colors of it are just so beautiful and so subtle. And the paper, I think, really, it didn't detract from it, but it helped like add to the effect of it being book themed and everything, because I'm a reader. I'm a bibliophile. I have a degree in library science and I work at a library, so this just called to me. This combination. But it is one of my favorite shawls that I have made in a while. I will link the pattern down below, and that is all I have finished. Although if you count, I did release my dragon pattern that is available on Ribbler, Ravelry, my blog, and my Etsy. So I guess I did finish something else. It's just not tangible, you know? But enough with the finished objects. It's time to get on to the WIPS. Okay. If you remember from probably my first or second podcast, I mentioned I have this bag full of advent scraps from last year. These are DK weight advent scraps. I've been working with fingering weight a lot, but I truly don't have a ton of patience for fingering weight projects. But I finally figured out I wanted to make a blanket with it, but not a rectangular blanket. I wanted to do something in a circular shape working in the round. But I didn't want to be a pure circle. I decided I wanted it to be octagonal. You know? And so I also decided I didn't want it to look boring. It's a scrap busting blanket. So how could it possibly be boring? I didn't want it all to be one stitch. So I started this on September 2nd. I went with my boyfriend and his dad and brother to the Auburn opener for their football season, and I took along a few of the scraps, not this entire bag. It is a big bag. I took along a few of the scraps and started testing out in between yelling at the team to actually do something correctly instead of a few of their plays. They won, but they made some stupid choices a few times. And being fascinated with their marching band after being a high school marching band player myself, it really brought back memories watching the show. But I didn't end up liking what I had done. So last Sunday, I ripped it all out and started again. And as of yesterday, this is what I have going so far. You can see it does have 8 sides, which I plan on adding a border for it, which will make it even more obvious. But you can tell it is not a boring blanket. I have some single crochets, some double crochets, puff stitches. I've got a round of griddle stitches in here as well. I've got some, I would have to look at the pattern because I am writing it down as I go, but I'm also looking at it from the back, so it's a little bit difficult. Oh yes, some front post stitching going on, but it is a very interesting pattern happening. I figured out where I went wrong was trying from immediately the beginning to make it octagonal, because that just wasn't working very well for a bigger project. So I decided I started with a multiple of 6, increased it a few rounds as 6, and then once I had a multiple of 8 as the final stitch count for a round, then I started making the 8 sides, and I've just been going on from there. So I already have about 152 stitches around. It's just gonna get bigger, y'all, because it has to be big enough to cover my legs. So it'll probably end up being, I'm guessing, about 5.5 feet across at the end. That's just a guess right now. I have not measured what I have right now, but I'm pretty sure this is close to a foot across just by eyeballing it. But I am working out of a combination of both the 2022 Lofty Loops yarn and Castle View yarn advents. I have not decided yet if I'm going to be adding my Disney Attraction Club leftovers to this yet. I am still debating on whether I am going to be coming up with something else for that or adding them to this bag, but I still have probably a good 40 colors in here. So I have enough for a while, but that is what I am doing with last year's advent scraps. We will see if I will need to add this year's to the pile as well, or if I will have enough in here. Because, I mean, it's looking pretty good. But you can tell with some of these scraps, they don't get as much added to it, just because the Lofty Loops advent project were 20 gram minis, while the Castle View Yarns advent were 10 gram minis. So that's just a difference in the amount that were used for the original project I used them for. But again, like I've said, we will see what happens. But that is just one of the projects I have going on. Like I said, I did release my dragon pattern this past week, so you can go look at it on my blog or purchase it from my Etsy, Ravelry, or Ribbler stores. But what I'm also doing is working on a video tutorial, which is going to take a little bit because it is a bit of a big project. But I do have most of the body done. I have finished the creation of the body piece, so I need to work on filming the decreases for the tail. And then I will have legs, claws, horns, and wings, and then attaching it. So I guess I'm about a third of the way through the video, but we are getting there, so I hope to have that done by the end of September or early October. So we will see how that goes, but I am in love with this little blue guy. He is very cute already. So that is another project I have going on right now. And just an update on my iris scarf light. This is one of my patterns, and I did a tutorial for this here on my YouTube, but since it's just a very simple pattern. I did not film the entire scarf, so I've just been taking my time working on the bulk of it, and it's getting there. It's something that I go to when I need a break from other things, so I don't spend all of my time working on this. I have been in a very creative burst lately, so I've been focusing on getting those ideas down. And I think it's the last WIP I have currently. I could be forgetting things, honestly, but I have been working on writing a scarf pattern for Advent season. This is fingering white yarn, and this is a Dragon Horde Yarns 12-day calendar. I'm not quite sure what year it was. I got it off of a D-Stash group, and so I have been working on that since it's been on my bookcase full of yarn for a while. I finally had an idea of what I wanted to do with it. I am ready to add the 4th color. These are the first 3 I have added. But I should hopefully have it done soon. I did fight with the yarn for a couple hours this morning because Ivy, she is one of my dogs, nearly 2 years old. Last week, she decided that my leaving it where I've been putting it was too tempting after she had left it alone for several days at that point. So she had decided to pull it off and completely destroyed the cake. So it is still not fully untangled, and I need at least one more row out of it. So I'm mad at her, needless to say. But, you know, my fault for not securing it properly, even though I thought she was out of the grab the yarn and destroy the perfectly good cake it was in phase. Apparently not. But dogs, you have to love them even when they are being a nuisance, needless to say. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. Any of these patterns mentioned I will link below. The ones that are mine you can find on Ribbler and Ravelry. Some of them are on my blog and some of them are on my Etsy, but I will leave all of those links below. If you have any questions about anything I mentioned in this video, feel free to ask them below in the comments. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you want to stay more current on what is happening. And I will see you guys next time. Happy crocheting!